Hi folks, welcome back to another fly tying video. Today we are definitely not tying a dry fly. We are tying an Intruder style tube pattern for the waters of British Columbia, in particular the Skeena River where I'm heading in August. So this is about a 2-inch tube from Sean Stanton, and we're going to be putting together a sort of pink and chartreuse style pattern today. So let's get stuck in. We'll start off with some Veevus 140 in black. Just get some wraps down at the front. Okay, so at this point folks, what you're looking to do is just create a dubbing loop. Basically creating a loop on the thread that you can stick stuff in. And then how I like to do this is I'll come in and put my dubbing loop spinner into place before I get started, and then we're bringing in some dubbing that's got all sorts in it, from loop just try and spread this out a bit. It doesn't need to be too scientific at this point, and then just spin that up. To a point that you're happy with it, that's fine. And I'm actually going to cut this away from the spinner before I turn it. Then you've effectively got a dubbing rope, as they call it. It's quite a big bit of bulk at the back, and you're going to be brushing this out. But these flies operate on this idea of not a lot of bulk in the fly itself, but a lot of wavy material, a lot of movement is really what you're trying to achieve here. Because as these get heavier and you're casting these, you know, if it's got a lot of bulk in it and it's heavy and it's wet, you'll be trying to cast a 3-piece suite, and that's not really what you're looking for. You want something that's got a lot of movement that'll attract the fish. These are big attractor patterns. Okay, so tied that off, and that's cool. And you'll be seeing a lot of this, so coming in with your dubbing brush or a toothbrush, depending on what you've got, just brush some of this out all around. Mind your thread, you don't want to be chopping into that with a brush. Okay, cool, quite happy with that as it stands. Just bring it in back, that needs to come back. Next I'm going to take, it's a bit of craft fur that I've got here in chartreuse, and basically what I'm going to do is just line it up to a point that I'm happy with and roll it round the tube. It's definitely not a hook. Again, this doesn't need to be too exact at this point. And then just come up with a couple of turns. Again, starting to build up that sort of profile that's going to have a lot of movement in it. Then make sure at every point in this you're coming back up against your dubbing balls that you've created to give it that outward puff. Then just come in and chop away anything that you don't need. Okay, that's not too bad, quite happy with that. Next I'm going to add on I'm actually going to add on the flash next, I think. Yep, I'm going to add on some chartreuse style flash. Again, this is from Sean Stanton, so catch it on the top and then these ends, just bring them down the sides and round the bottom so you get that round coverage. Yeah, hopefully you can see what we're starting to do here. We're starting to build up this puffy bit at the back. Next we're going to put some sort of chartreusey coloured Rhea on, top and bottom. Again, just bulking out that a little bit further. Might not be able to see it all on the video, but you know, stepping out just a little bit further behind the fly. And then I'll add a few strands onto the underside of the fly. Come up with a pinch and loop turn, then lock that in. I'm actually going to run the thread up at this point, locking these down. And then on the way back down, I'm going to catch in some silver holo braid, which will make up the body section. So catch this in quite far up and then run this all the way down. Okay, good stuff, looks alright. There's not a lot happening in the middle of this fly. I'm basically going to run this braid up to about this point here, where you're effectively going to build your next ball and bulk. So nice overlapping turns. Just about got us there, yep. And tie that in nice and firmly. Okay, so that's the back of the fly done. And next we're going to create another dubbing loop at this point. Again, same idea, and we'll dubbing loop spinner, and we're going to bring in another dubbing from loop, but this time it's a pink colour. Okay. And when you're happy with that, come in and start to form your ball. When you're happy with what you've got, come over and lock this in. And then cut away what you don't need. Okay, good stuff, quite happy with that. It's looking not bad, looking a little bit mad just now. I'm going to come in and brush some of this out again. And then we're going to come in with a little bit more of the craft fur, but this time I'm actually going to tie this forward initially. Let's come up with a couple of turns, get ready to roll this round. So again, lock this into place against that ball. Then what you're going to do, folks, is you're going to push all this back. And get some nice tight turns in at this point. To lock that into place. Okay, up next we are going to add some micro grizzle hackles. Just chopping the stems off these off camera. I'll add one on your side. And one on the top where it bulks out. Any stems you're not happy with, any little bits, it's a good time to come in and just tidy up. Want to be trying to keep that thread wrap at the front a little bit smaller now where you can. I'm going to add in some flash. There's a mixture of different flashes. Some of it's from Loop, some of it's from Sean Stanton. So just going to place this on the top. 2 wraps onto the top, spread it out, and then in a similar fashion I'm just going to fold this back. This is why you're using the heavier thread, you can go a little bit harder with those wraps. So we're getting there, folks, getting towards the end of this. So we're going to add in some pink Rhea on the top of this. If I can get the flash to stay out of the way. So add it on, spread it out, maybe get a thumbnail onto the top of the thread. And then I'm going to add some strands to the bottom. Again, coming up with a pinch and loop. Get a couple of turns in. Spread all of that out. Okay, no problem. Come in and chop away your residual excess pieces. Okay, looking not bad, getting there. Last material that we're going to add is some Lady Amherst fibres, so taking sort of 2 or 3 together and just getting these round about the front of the fly. So once you've got those positioned, little trick is come in and grab everything and unwind where you've just wound those Lady Amherst on, and then come back in so that you're catching all of them with the single turn wraps. We'll cut down a bit of bulk. Okay, and then come in and chop those excess pieces away. Okay, good stuff. And then what we're looking to do is just tidy up. Okay, once you're happy with how it's sitting generally, we'll just come in and whip finish. That front bit might still be a bit scruffy, folks, but that's okay because we're going to put a Conehead tube onto it. It's probably better to leave this a little bit scruffier if you can't get to it based on whatever fibres you've used, the how thick the fibres are, as opposed to going over it with too many thread turns, or you won't get your Conehead nice and tight. So come in, plenty of glue at this point. Get some on the inner tubing as well, and then taking your Conehead, this is one again from Sean Stanton, size large, and press nice and firmly onto the fly. Hold it there for a couple of seconds. Try not to stick yourself to the tube because that's a little bit embarrassing. And then the last thing to do is that additional bit of tube at the front. Just loosen off a little bit from your tube holder adapter. I'm using the HMH one. So come in, chop this down a bit, grab your lighter and just melt this. Take the fly off. Just make sure that hole is there. So there you have it, folks. Intruder fly for British Columbia, Canada. Good fun to tie. Really looking forward to getting these out on the water. And yeah, let me know what you think. Drop a like, hit the bell, say hello. Speak to you soon.